Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, which is, of course, the second feature-length movie of the character SpongeBob that's been around for a very long time. I think since 1999, so 16 years now, maybe even 1998, I can't remember, but it was definitely in the late 90s. And I am a huge fan of the original SpongeBob cartoons. I mean, you know, it's still going on now. It's hugely popular, obviously. This movie's making a lot of money. But I am a huge, huge fan of the original, maybe like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years of SpongeBob. I love that stuff. And I still do. I'm not gonna lie to you, I still watch some of the older episodes on YouTube. Like, I'll be like, alright, I'm in the mood for something funny, let's watch some old SpongeBob. And I'm laughing like SpongeBob. You know, I do that, you know, I laugh. So anyway, it's a fun show, I thought. So I was really looking forward to this. And I loved the first movie. I thought the first movie was great. And then after that movie, it felt like it kind of went downhill with the cartoon. I actually stopped watching it when I was like 15 or 16, where you should still be watching SpongeBob, I feel. And I kind of trailed off and started watching, you know, stuff like South Park and stuff, you know, which is hilarious. But, we're hilarious. But anyway, I still love SpongeBob, I really do. I'm kind of like Simpsons fans, where they love the original stuff, and then the newer stuff they hate. I'm kind of like that, except I don't really hate the newer stuff. I'm just like, meh. But I'm really looking forward to talking about this film, because I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It looked hilarious. What did I think of the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water? Let's talk about it. The story for SpongeBob, the movie, Sponge Out of Water, I don't know what to tell you. The movie is insane. The story goes in so many ridiculous and just nonsensical places. Characters show up out of nowhere. There's a freaking dolphin that controls space and time. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you about this story besides the simple version, which isn't the full story. But this is the simplified, easy to explain story here. Because if I explained everything this character went through in this film, I don't know what I would be able to say. Alright, the story here follows SpongeBob, who makes Krabby Patties at the bottom of the ocean, in Bikini Bottom. And then something happens where the recipe for the Krabby Patties gets stolen. Of course, Krabby Patties are just hamburgers. And the recipe gets stolen, and everybody in Bikini Bottom just goes nuts. They're just like, oh my god, oh, no Krabby Patties, and they love Krabby Patties. And the reason why it got stolen is because Burger Beard, played by Antonio Banderas, stole a book that tells the story of Bikini Bottom, and he like wrote in it and said, oh, now I have the recipe. So now he has the recipe. He wants to go make his own burgers and become famous. And of course, SpongeBob and the rest, Mr. Krabs, Patrick, Squidward, Plankton, Sandy, they all have to go into our world and go and get the formula back because everybody's going nuts. So that's pretty much... Hey, I got another one. Thank you. I got that in my last review. But anyway, that is the story of SpongeBob, Sponge Out of Water. I am not kidding when I say the movie is not that simple story-wise. Because, I mean, it is really. That's technically the story. But there's a good 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes of the film in between the part where the recipe gets stolen and, of course, when Burger Beard... you know, they fight off Burger Beard with the CG animation and stuff. There's a whole like 35-40 minute segment where SpongeBob and Plankton team up to go do some time travel stuff and figure out how to get the recipe back. And there's just so many moments in there that is so insane. And don't get me wrong, the entire movie has so many insane moments, and it made me really love SpongeBob again, because the original SpongeBobs, they're pretty insane, but they're neatly tucked into like a 12-minute segment for each episode. And even the SpongeBob movie before, like, I haven't seen it since I was younger, but I feel like I probably have the same experience with that film where it's just insane. I remember the David Hasselhoff part. That's probably gonna blow my mind now. But this movie just goes in so many insane places. Like I said, there's a dolphin that controls space and time. Did I mention that? I think I did. But there's a dolphin that controls space and time, and that's all I'm gonna say about that, because you have to see it to believe it. It's ridiculous. It's so silly but hilarious. I didn't bust out laughing throughout the film until after I was done, and I'm sitting here thinking about it. It's insane. Now, to be fair, the movie itself isn't clever the entire time. There's a lot of puns and a lot of like jokes that just kind of fall flat, and they're meant more for the kids. You know, like ooh, Patrick's butt here, and just silly jokes that are not very inventive, and not the smartest jokes out there. So it's not like it's the smartest comedy out there, but there is a lot of really funny moments, a lot of really inventive moments. There's a Shining reference in this that's probably the funniest Shining reference I've ever seen, and that is hard because they, of course, you know what part I'm talking about that they reference or they parody, but that part made me laugh so hard, and I really, really love that moment. And there's so many moments like it in there. Even though there's a lot of jokes that do fall flat, there's a lot of really good ones that are really, really smartly written and really well performed, and a lot of slapstick that definitely works. It's SpongeBob. I love it. The 2D animation is great, and I was really happy to see 2D animation on a big screen again. It looked weird seeing it on on a big screen again, because it's been a very long time since we've seen 2D. Probably since Princess and the Frog, which was like, what, 6 years ago at this point? I can't think of one. There probably is a couple. I just can't think of one that had like all 2D animation, which this wasn't all 2D animation, but it was a good hour of it. The CG animation looks great, even though that's where the movie goes more kind of action oriented, just like sight gags more than actually cleverly thought out gags. And that part probably took me out of the movie a little bit too much, even though I thought Antonio Banderas was really game. Like, he was having a blast, you could tell, and he was a lot of fun to watch. And he was a pretty decent villain, I would say. I like Antonio Banderas. He's a lot of fun in this film, and he's a decent villain in the film. But the CG part, even though the CG looks great, and they still look like how they do in the show and in the rest of the movie, I don't know. It wasn't as lively as I thought the original 2D animation was, because they're in our world, so it doesn't go completely like insane as does the 2D animation. I don't know. It was still good. It was still good, but it wasn't as good as the 2D animation parts. Like I said, there's some moments where it's just meh, but the voice acting's great. You get that's obvious. Like, these guys have been voicing these characters for years now, and they've got it down pat. There's a lot of really funny moments. There's a couple of decent little songs in there, which if you watch the original SpongeBob movie, there was a couple of good ones in there too. There's one at the end that actually kind of like really surprised me, because they're about to sing the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song, and then out of nowhere it goes into a rap battle of history song, which isn't an actual song, but it's very, very much like how the Epic Rap Battle of History guys do their music. I thought that was really strange. So it ends with an Epic Rap Battle of History song, which is strange. But there's a couple good songs. It was a lot of funny moments. The animation was great on both sides, CG and 2D. It was a lot of fun. There is some jokes that kind of slip. And if you're not a big fan of SpongeBob, you're not going to like this. It's not going to win you over, because it's a lot of references that you will not get, and characters that you will not know who they are because you don't watch a cartoon. Like, characters just show up like, hey, here's the character. There you go. They don't explain who it is. They don't even say their name. You're just supposed to know who they are because you watch the show. Which, if you don't watch the show, then I don't know why the hell you're watching this movie, unless you're just bringing them to your kids to see it, I guess. I'm going to give SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water, I'm going to give it a good old-fashioned, I'm going to give it a 31 out of 40. I really enjoyed it. There is some problems, sure. It's a little too silly at times and a little too insane, but it's still a lot of fun, very funny. It's still a very good time. The CG part, even though the CG was great, when they're out of the water, it kind of brought it down a little bit, but it still ends really well. It really does. It does end very well, even with that epic rap battle thing, which was strange. But I'm still going to give this a 31 out of 40. I really enjoyed it. So anyway, there you go. That's my review for SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.